Welcome to Elizabeth's Chronicles. If you enjoy true crime stories like this one, consider subscribing. In this episode, we are going to look at 5 shocking similarities between the Chris Watts and Casey Anthony cases. On July 15, 2008, 2-year-old Caylee Anthony's grandmother, Cindy Anthony, reported her missing. 31 days prior to this, Cindy and Casey got into an argument, so Casey took Caylee and left the home. She told her parents she was staying with friends and working. Casey did not report her young daughter as missing. She went on to post numerous pictures on the web of her drinking, partying, laughing and just having a good time. All the while, her daughter was missing, and had been for 31 days. She was charged with first-degree murder in October 2008 and pleaded not guilty. After months of investigation focusing on Casey Anthony, Caylee's skeletal remains were found near her home. Duct tape was on her mouth area, still attached. Throughout that time Anthony lied repeatedly regarding her daughter's whereabouts. But that wasn't the only thing she lied about. She told numerous lies about working at Universal Studios, when in fact she hadn't worked there in years. It was one lie after another. Casey also attempted to say that she left her daughter with a nanny and even gave the address. But nobody lived at the address, which had been vacant for a while. Eventually it was discovered that she was lying.
Every single thing that you told us has been a lie. We're proving and you know that everything you told me is a lie, correct?
No, I didn't told you.
But we're tired of the lies. No more lies. What happened to Caylee?
I don't know.
You do know. What happened to Caylee?
Spectators across the world watched in utter shock at the lack of concern this young mother had for her daughter. While Caylee was missing, Casey was never worried about her daughter. It was all about what she was going through in jail. She became the most hated woman in America. Casey Anthony was indicted by a grand jury on charges of first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and 4 counts of providing false information to police. On July 5, 2011, the jury found Casey not guilty of counts 1 through 3 regarding first-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and aggravated child abuse, while finding her guilty on counts 4 through 7 for providing false information to law enforcement. People across the world were in shock over the not guilty verdict. The case has been commonly compared to the O.J. Simpson case, where he too was found not guilty but the evidence pointed to his guilt, just as Casey Anthony. In August of 2018, Chris Watts killed his pregnant wife, Shannan, and 2 beautiful daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Cece. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Both Chris Watts and Casey Anthony are hated by the majority of people. Chris Watts annihilated his family, so he could be with his mistress, Nicole Kessinger. He coldly planned and carried out the strangling of his 15-week pregnant wife, and then heartlessly smothered both his young daughters with his bare hands. Nobody can fathom the evil it takes to do such acts. Casey Anthony is no better. All evidence points to the fact that the death of her daughter was at her hands, be it on purpose or by accident. And what makes Casey Anthony's case so horrific is how she could go party and go on as though her daughter didn't exist. All the while her tiny daughter's body lay on the ground decomposing. It's hard to understand how a mother can party while her daughter lay dead. Even if it were an accident, a mother who loved her daughter would be in mourning, but not Casey. She was enjoying life as though she never had a daughter in the first place. Both Chris Watts and Casey Anthony lived double lives. Chris Watts appeared to be a loving husband and father. In the many videos and pictures Shannan posted to Facebook, it portrays a man who appears to care deeply for his family. In the last 6 weeks, before the murders, he tells his mistress that his marriage is over, and he and his wife mutually agree to divorce. His wife knew nothing of a divorce. However, The last couple of weeks she noticed a huge difference in her husband. While she was away with the kids, visiting her parents the last 6 weeks, he became distant, not answering her text or calls, and was cold, nothing the way it was before she left. Shannan was working hard to save her marriage, while he was plotting their murders. While his family was away, he was living a single life, taking his mistress to dinner, on trips and even staying over at her home. Casey Anthony said she had a job as an event planner, at Universal Studios. She even led police to a building on the Universal lot and down a hallway, until she finally turned to them, and admitted she didn't work there. Casey Anthony would tell elaborate lies, with all sorts of details, and even when caught red-handed in those lies she would continue telling the same lie, swearing that it's the truth. She also told police that she spoke to her daughter, Kaylee, on July 15, 2008. She goes into details that Kaylee told her a story about her shoes, and a book she was reading, and says she was excited to talk with her. In reality, it was proven by forensics, that Kaylee was already dead on the day she says she spoke with her. She claimed the babysitter, Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, was a former girlfriend of a friend named Jeffrey Hopkins, who was someone she also dated once. She told her mother, Cindy Anthony, that Hopkins had a toddler named Zachary. She had an image of a man and a boy on her cell phone, labeled as Hopkins, and filed under boyfriend, her mother told the court. Hopkins testified that he went to middle school with Anthony. Hopkins said he has no child, and never met anyone named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. During the trial, Casey seemed cold, unemotional. While she was in jail, she was more concerned with how she was being treated than where her daughter was, which was revealing in hindsight. She knew her daughter was already dead. As the trial progressed, prosecutor questioned roommates, as well as women who worked as shot girls at the bar Casey had visited many times while her daughter was missing. The testimony showed her as a woman who had no remorse over Kaylee's death, or disappearance, and in contrast, revealed she was happy to no longer have to care for Kaylee. Watts made public appearances pleading for his wife and children's safe return, though still emotionless and cold, knowing that they were already dead. He even at times laughed, but never upset or even one tear.
But I just want them back. I just want them to come back.
Watts has admitted that he felt no remorse for murdering his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. He said all he could think about was now he could be with his mistress, Nikki. Both Watts and Anthony tried to push the blame onto a family member. When Chris Watts was being interrogated by investigators, CSI agent Tammy Lee suggested that maybe someone else killed the girls, maybe Shannan, and he possibly got angry. Chris took the bait, and claimed his wife strangled both girls to death, so in a fit of rage, he strangled her. Eventually Chris pled guilty to all the murders. In a later interview, he even went into great detail about how he carried out the gruesome crimes, and admitted that Shannan had nothing to do with it. It was all to be with Nikki. Casey Anthony's attorney tried to point the blame towards George Anthony, Casey's father, by saying that Kaylee was never missing. That she had actually drowned in the family pool, before Casey ever left home, and her father had forced her to lie, and keep it a secret. George Anthony denied these claims, stating that he was a police officer, and if an accident like that had happened, he would have did all he could to save his granddaughter, and then called 911.
She never was missing. Kaylee Anthony died on June 16, 2008, when she drowned in her family's swimming pool. She saw George Anthony holding Kaylee in his arms. She immediately grabbed Kaylee and began to cry, and cry, and cry. And shortly thereafter, George began to yell at her, "Look what you've done! Your mother will never forgive you, and you will go to jail for child neglect for the rest of your freaking life.
Casey Anthony and Chris Watts both are narcissists. Both have also been deemed as anywhere from sociopaths, psychopaths, to a wide range of other labels. However, one must understand, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, there's no clinical difference between a sociopath and a psychopath. These terms are both used to refer to people with ASPD, antisocial personality disorder. They're often used interchangeably. Some have attempted to distinguish the two by the severity of their symptoms. Doctors actually don't diagnose sociopaths or psychopaths. They use the single term antisocial personality disorder. It used to be called sociopathy. A person who had this diagnosis was always referred to as a sociopath. But doctors don't use this general term any longer. They basically diagnose with antisocial personality disorder. This list of the traits of a narcissist. However, a narcissist doesn't have to have all of these traits. A true narcissist may only exhibit 3 or 4 of the traits. Language expert, Joe Navarro, a former FBI agent, and professor at St. Leo University, said, Casey Anthony has a lot of the features of both a pathologically narcissistic person and histrionic personality, he continued. People like Anthony, they like attention, and are very manipulative. She is a pathological liar. Both psychopathy and narcissism are characterized by a lack of remorse, which is what DeHaly believes Chris Watts showed when he killed his daughters. Specifically, she points out Watts confessed to strangling Cece, his younger daughter, in front of Bella, his eldest. Dr. Lena DeHaly is a licensed relationship therapist and author of the book My Daddy is a Hero, How Chris Watts Went from Family Man to Family Killer. DeHaly said, the fact that he even killed his daughter in front of the other one, and subjected her to that. I mean, there is absolutely zero empathy there. This is someone who does not take the perspective of another person. This is someone who's severely narcissistic in the sense that they're only taking their wants and needs into account. It's clear both Chris Watts and Casey Anthony show traits of being narcissists. Neither had the capacity to show empathy or remorse. Their selfish wants and needs was put above even the lives of their own children. That concludes the episode. If you want more true crime like this one, consider subscribing, and hit the like button.